The sun is setting, and I'm going to share a really popular thread from the entrepreneur subreddit of reddit.com. This thread came from a couple of weeks ago. I found it because a friend sent it to me, and the reason that it is great, it covers don't build in stealth mode. I get triggered when I see people list stealth mode on their LinkedIn, that their project is in stealth mode, or when I meet someone and they say it's in stealth mode. Don't build in stealth mode, build in public and validate early, especially the validate early part. So important for marketing. Kill your ego. There's so much in here. I'm just going to get to it. The post is called I Worked Hard All My Life. I Regret It. It's from 1 month ago. Okay, here it goes. I worked hard all my life. I regret it. Harder than anyone I had ever known. Did it bring success? No. I really want to say yes to justify my hard work and push down those who didn't work hard, but can't lie to myself. These 3 things actually helped me succeed. So I love this because I think people don't try hard enough to learn from their mistakes. I'm someone who does that, and that's why I think I'm relatively good at what I do, because I fail all the time, and then I think about it, I learn, I try more things, I fail again, I learn, and then finally I find something that works. That process repeats, and gets faster and faster as I get ideas of what will not work. And anyway, this person, great, but I like learning from failures and sharing those, especially sharing those. I think the failures are so valuable. Okay, I'll talk about myself. Here we go. Kill my ego. That's number 1. There's 3 things here. The 3 things that actually helped the poster. Number 1, kill my ego. Back in the day, I worked hard, but in most cases, I was simply fighting with my own intentional mistakes. Most of the things I did came out of my ego. For example, I would design things. This is a programmer who's making products. For example, I would design things based on my personal taste rather than looking for this year's trend and adopting it. Why did I go for my own taste versus the current thing? Because of my ego. 99% of founders in my network make this mistake as we speak. I see it every day now, but I didn't see it in myself back then. Killing my ego led to becoming 2 to 5 times more productive, which means I don't need to work as hard anymore. Number 2, validation and brave confidence. In old times, I just go and build the shit instead of validating. In 10 out of 10 cases, I'd build crap that nobody needs, and right after that, I'd iterate doing 100-hour work weeks with no sleep or holidays. Could I have avoided all that? Of course. Today, I validate things before I write the first line of code. I haven't failed a single launch since then. Productivity gain here is 10 to 100x. In old times, a typical product would need 2 years of iterations to get somewhere. Now it's right from the start because I iterate on the validation stage using different marketing messages. Compare this to iterating with SaaS, where each new version might take many months of coding versus me spending a few minutes to redo my marketing message from a new angle. I like this, but I want to say with bottom of funnel search engine optimization, which I talk about all the time on this show, you can pretty much make many products work, which otherwise would have been hard to market, because people are always searching for solutions to their problems, and people have many problems, many problems. And a lot of founders don't really realize that they might be having trouble selling their product on other channels. But if they just targeted these bottom of funnel use cases for their products, they could find users pretty quickly. And then they could iterate based on those users. Those users will tell them what they are trying to do with the product. And then they can just build that functionality for those users. And I've seen this so many times. And so validation is very important. Building in public, I love. And testing, I love. The reason you do building in public is because as you build, you learn what might work and what might not work. But the silver lining is you can still do bottom of funnel SEO to make virtually any product work. That's something I genuinely believe because I've seen it so many times. Many products have so many use cases that people don't realize. Okay, back to the post now. Number 3, we're on the 3rd one, reinventing wheels. I love this one. I actually really like this point. I'd never reuse external libraries or no-code tools or boilerplates. I was too proud of myself. Every boilerplate had spaghetti code. SDKs were poorly designed, APIs were limiting me, and all sorts of bullshit excuses I could find to reinvent the wheel yet again. I've heard this from a lot of developer friends who think that they're too good to use this stuff. Now my typical project has just, and by the way, they were slow and inefficient. These people who I'm talking about are slow and inefficient. Okay, Now my typical project has just 5% of my own code and the rest comes from external boilerplates, APIs, SDKs, no codes, low codes. This is yet another 10x time saver. I don't need to code for 100 hours a week anymore. I can spend more time inventing cool creative marketing ideas that actually move the needle instead of proudly reinventing the crud. The moral: if you have to work hard, it means you're not working smart. Often founders romanticize the hard and look for the hard ways instead of going for the easy ways. I love this. I know it's hard to accept it. I was the one who denied it myself for many years. That is the post. It is called "I Worked Hard All My Life. I Regret It." And the comments are pretty interesting. The top comment is, "While I think your points are valid, working hard and smart aren't mutually exclusive. One can do both. I recognize myself in the last point. When I started with development, it's a usual noob trait similar to when little children just have learned something and don't want anyone's help. The I can behavior. Though it's good to exhibit this to a degree to increase your learning, but it needs to be on a moderate level. Not using any library is a bit extreme." Okay, this comment was my favorite comment. It is the second to talk comment. And the guy says he made a lot of money and this is what he learned. So he says, "Good post. Depends on what hard work means. I failed a lot and have made enough money to never work. What I know for sure, if you don't enjoy what you do every day, you'll never actually be able to keep up with the competitors who do what you do out of utter joy. You just won't." This said, what's hard work? For me, it's number one, doing administrative things, business dishes, as he calls them, or getting around to tough decisions, things he doesn't like. And number two, if I end the week having been packed with exciting meetings, deals moved forward, hiring strides forward, maybe I got out a pitch late one night because it was on my desk to finish, etc. That's hard work too. It was fun and I did it. And I did it for me. I think generally trying to do an endorphin pull forward is a winning strategy to help nibble on things needing to be done, to plow ahead when you're about to give up. For example, getting pumped at being 2% more of the way there when doing 3 hours on something, or acknowledging the pain you avoided by doing what you did. That's a mini reward. I wasted 7 years on a bad business before fixing it for good. Should have learned faster and been more intellectually honest with myself. There's a huge difference between iterating to win while focusing on the same end goal versus quitting all the time at the first sign of adversity and then totally pivoting. I talk about that second point all the time on this show because that is the standard. That is what most people do. They do not iterate to win while focusing on the same end goal. They just quit all the time at the first sign of adversity and totally pivot and waste all the time that they spent building up to the first sign of adversity just over and over and over again. And they would have been so much better off if they stuck with the first thing. And then the comment ends, "Finally, I learned and I did something else that exploded immediately and has been a hoot." And then the original poster, the guy who made the first post, commented on this and said, "The hard work for me back then was the hours I put. I worked way too much, 100 hours a week at least, just slept, ate, and worked. I missed so many weddings and birthdays." And this guy says, "Sorry to hear, but that's a mental callus and something," and I love this part, "that's a mental callus and something you can call on later for a big value payback. You may have directed energy too long without being intellectually honest about what's working. I am not sure. I've lost a lot of money, let me tell you, and time. Time is the worst. But because of that, I created a very valuable company very quickly, shortly after multiple years of failure, by soaking it up and packaging the insights into something way better." A lot of people love that comment. Again, this post says, "I worked hard all my life. I regret it." So much value in here. And we are at episode 301 of my daily growth hacking and growth marketing podcast. I wanted to share that one. My friend sent it to me. He thought it was so good. He wanted to send it to me and I thought it was so good. I wanted to read it on the show. So I hope you enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I am losing daylight now. Gonna get this podcast out. I will talk to you again tomorrow. Bye now.